Bitcoin was famously created as a reaction to the 2008 subprime mortgage crisis. The individual or organization known as Satoshi Nakamoto envisaged a peer-to-peer system of finance where individuals could transact business without the need for corrupt intermediaries. But is that vision true today? For all the talk of decentralization, the blockchain is run by a handful of oligopolies: BCG, FTX, Coinbase, Binance. They run major sections of the space. Yuga Labs dominates the NFT space. There are over 20,000 cryptocurrencies, but Bitcoin and Ethereum dominate the bulk of the headlines. Is decentralization actually a myth? My next guest, Bud White, will help shed some light on this provocative topic. Bud, welcome to Daily Drop.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
See you again.
Fellow Canadian, too.
Yeah.
Let's start at the beginning with decentralization. Why is decentralization so important to the blockchain?
I think you nailed it already. It comes down to democratizing the ability for a person or entity to transfer value. If I am a farmer, I have a season's worth of crop, I need to transfer that into a store of value, use that store of value to maybe purchase something from you. No company, government, or entity should be able to block me from using that store of value. That was the ethos behind why Bitcoin in the beginning.
Right. Do you think that's still true today?
I still think it's true today. There are a number of use cases where people want to flee conflict zones or repatriate capital somewhere where it may be difficult to do it through traditional financial rails. And we are seeing utility of Bitcoin, of Ethereum, of other cryptocurrencies to do exactly that very basic use case of transferring value to one person or another.
All right, let's be very blunt, just in terms of like a pros cons, right? Let's start with the pros. Like, what are the benefits of decentralization?
Speed. It moves much quicker than wire transfers. Fewer gates. You can't block it like a wire transfer. And I would say the ability for all parties to have transparency. So if I'm making a transfer to you, everybody else can validate that it's true, therefore it actually happens.
Okay, so cons, like what are the drawbacks of decentralization?
Huge activation energy to get into the asset class.
What do you mean by that, activation energy?
Teaching people, one, the actual workflow of using it. For example, I have my parents, they want to get into the asset class. I have to teach them how to wire money to a place to purchase it, do the purchase, teach them about wallets so they can secure their asset, and then teach them how to send. None of that is intuitive today, like all of the transfer mechanisms for traditional fiat capital, like PayPal and Venmo.
Okay, but is that more a byproduct of the technology, or is that a byproduct of decentralization? Because that sounds like it's more like the tech of it.
I think it's about the tech, right?
Right.
The tech, it's been around for more than 10 years, but it's still in its infancy when it comes to the amount of time and resources spent on the user experience of using it. So I think with enough time and companies solving these problems, we'll be able to get people like my parents using crypto, no problem.
It's interesting talking to you, right? Because it's like there's really more than one problem at the same time, right? There's a problem of learning the technology, and there's a problem in terms of decentralization, where it's really like a new way to conceive of the world, especially if you think about Web 2. Like Web 2, people now, they know the technology, but it's very centralized, and they're kind of used to it. Mm-hmm. And decentralization, especially with the blockchain, it's just a completely new way to think.
It is. I think the large corporations of the Web 2 era, the Googles, the Facebooks, the LinkedIns, we've been trained as a population to trust them. I remember 25 years ago when I got my first Gmail account, I thought it was so special. And I thought that, why would I ever not want to use Google in the future? Then they started using my Google account to do authentication for other services under this guise of, we'll own your identity and we'll let you tie into your PayPal account, your eBay account, your every other kind of account. And I always felt very secure that Google was doing that for me. And the ethos of Web3 is, well, yes, there are they enabled a lot of workflows in the Web 2 internet, but the price you pay is your data being available, them being able to market to you in ways that maybe you don't want to, or for them to be able to shut off access to your identity in a way that can really cause you pain and grief.
See, this is perfect, and that'll segue nicely into our next section about corporations, and we're going to talk about that more when we get back. Daily Drop.